Hello, everybody. This is Brandon Gibson. I'm the CEO of Mavel Technologies, formerly Megalo Technologies. And today I want to discuss how we are setting up our server systems for clients. Our dedicated servers consist of a Dell PowerEdge with 64 gigabytes of memory, four 14 terabyte hard drives, all in RAID, spanning a series of I have to calculate it. Give me a second. Since we do them in mirrored, that's 56 terabytes per server that we have in space. Our processors have 10 core processors, and there's 2 processors on each server. Some servers have 4 processors. Each one are 10 cores or more. There are a few that we have that have 12 cores per processor, so equaling a numeration of resources. Now, keep those resources in mind. 64 terabytes or 56 terabytes of hard drive space with 64 gigabytes of memory. Some have 128, and a 20 cores total in processor. So this is Windows Server 2012 R2. I know there are newer ones out there, but we don't use newer servers because we have a volume license for this one. And this is a virtual machine setup that I set up to demo this because our recording software does not work on server software. So we were forced to do this on a workstation to give you guys an example of how we set up our dedicated servers. Now remember those resources I told you about. VMware Workstation Pro is a virtual machine system. Let's say we get a client that needs 4 core processor and a certain number of memory, and they need, say, CentOS or Linux or Ubuntu. We offer various different systems. Now, instead of going out and physically building another machine and putting it in a rack for our clients to have, we have what we call a virtual dedicated, which is very similar to what you guys are used to. However, a virtual dedicated and a physical dedicated really aren't any different. So we run Windows on our back end. We say CentOS 6, or we can go all the way down to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We go Ubuntu. A lot of people like Ubuntu. But since cPanel does not run on Ubuntu, it runs on Red Hat and CentOS-based operating systems. We have to use CentOS. And let's go ahead and click next. Let's see. Let's give this one a name since it's a dedicated server. Dedicated 0001. Now let's say 0001 is our customer number. If you were the very first customer we've ever had, you would be 0001. So dedicated with the customer number. So our customer can be identified when we're looking up the server in case they need technical support. Let's give it 80 gigabytes of hard drive space for a decent. You can select 80 gigabytes out of that 56 terabytes. Next, finish. Okay, then it brings up the resources page. Let's say hypothetically our customer wants 4 cores for a processor. I can go in here by clicking onto this. That's a little slow, I apologize. Normally our servers are not this slow. Okay, you can have a number of processors or a number of cores. One processor with up to 16 cores or 16 processors. Either way, it'll work itself out. You can virtualize your hardware this way. Let's say our customer wants 64 gigabytes of memory. Well, our server physically has 64 gigabytes of memory, so we won't allocate that much. We'll give them, say, 16 gigabytes instead of 64. So they're able to utilize dedicated 16 gigabytes of memory in one server that other servers will not share. We can do 8, 4, whatever our customers want. Okay, so then while we're done doing that, we're going to go ahead and select our operating system, which will be an ISO image. We can select this, navigate to our folder that may or may not have the CentOS operating system on it. Okay, in this case, I'm using an external hard drive. Let's go ahead and select this. We're going through our list of software. So now we're going to use Ubuntu just as an example. Our CentOS, our Ubuntu, our Red Hats, they all come in ISO format. Then you select OK. In this virtual environment, we're going to go ahead and use 80 gigabytes of hard drive, 1 processor, 1 gigabyte of memory. And Ubuntu actually requires a lot more than that. And then you select this. Once the server is 100% running, okay, I'm not going to start it because it won't do anything right now. It'll take 4 hours to install, give or take. Once it's up and running, you'll have a cPanel license applied to your account. And in cPanel, you can do everything from add a website, create email accounts. I'm not sure how many of you are actually familiar with cPanel, but cPanel is the number one on the market right now. And they are probably the best control panel software out there next to Plesk. There is no Maximize on this, is there? So you can go ahead and do databases. You can do MySQL, remote SQL, disk usage, email accounts, autoresponders for email, different tools for different things. And since we use Plesk and cPanel, we use our upgraded version, so you have unlimited resources instead of limiting resources like some of the cPanel and Plesk versions. We use our data center editions, so you can get more out of your cPanel. You can set up WordPress sites, publisher, you name it. This is cPanel. This is what your control panel will look like. And this is a demo control panel by cPanel Incorporated. This is exactly what your system will look like. And we add Softaculous installer. What is Softaculous, you ask? Well, let's do a little Google search and I'll show you what Softaculous looks like. I forget exactly how to spell it. I apologize. I'm not going to take the time to do a spell check. And Softaculous is a commercial script library that will allow you to install any PHP script that they have on your server, on your domain. So let's go ahead and click Products, Softaculous. When you actually log into Softaculous, this is not what you see here. When you click on it in your control panel, excuse me, this is what you'll see. Okay? So let's say you want to start a social network. We have our own software that we can provide to you too, as well as what is in here. You can set up a social network, or you can set up an e-commerce website, some place where you want to sell products like Amazon, but you don't want to pay Amazon, you want to do it yourself. PrestaShop is probably one of the most popular ones because it is a virtual web store. So Softaculous comes installed in every one of our dedicated servers, including our shared servers. We do have that. So this is what you will get out of a dedicated server, and you will also have root access to that server. And shared servers do not have root access, but they have everything else. You can add as many websites as you want, you name it. This is what we will be providing at Just Shared. And we may be Just Shared, but we also provide dedicated resources as well. I hope this video has been of interest to you, and I hope this will solve some of your web hosting needs in the near future.